Tomorrow, hundreds of thousands of people are expected to rally against President Trump's zero-tolerance policy on immigration. Now, this comes after yesterday's Women's March protest that saw the arrest of nearly 600 people on Capitol Hill. Our Hilary Layne is with us to talk more about that massive rally planned for tomorrow in D.C. So what's the purpose? Why are they doing this?
So these women want to be heard, and they want to be seen in mass, in big numbers. Over 300,000 people are expected. We're hearing right now already 72,000 people on Facebook say they're interested. So they really want to make a big stink about this, that they are upset and they want to show up.
And who's behind it?
So there are so many different groups. There are over a dozen groups. The big names that you would recognize is the Women's March that held that big march after President Trump's first inauguration. The ACLU, also Planned Parenthood as well. So
do they have a list of demands, a list of hopes, or what exactly tangibly do they want for the administration?
Well, they want the end of that zero tolerance policy. I mean, that's the big thing. Of course, those pictures of the children being separated, that's really upsetting, and they want President Trump to hear that and hopefully overhaul some of those policies.
So what will we actually see play out tomorrow? Will this be similar, different to the Women's March?
So Thursday, those images were very interesting to see because you had almost 1,000 women walking down Pennsylvania Avenue, and then over 570 women were arrested at the Capitol. So we're not going to see that part because it's a weekend, but we are expected to see hundreds of thousands of people, the same thing, marching down Pennsylvania Avenue, and they always make it a point to stop right in front of the Trump Hotel and yell shame, shame, shame. So you will definitely see that again.
There's going to be a lot to see, a lot to cover. Hilary Layne here to talk with us about it. Thanks so much.